So right now, we are in an abandoned ghost town here in Pennsylvania. It's called Centralia. It's located in northeast PA in the coal region. And this place has a very interesting story. It's located at the crossroads of Route 61 and Route 42, around Hazleton area. And this place has a very interesting story. So this was a bustling coal town. I think at its peak it had around 2,000 people. And there was a coal mine. Most people were coal miners here. And in 1962, they were burning garbage, and some of the garbage got under and got into the coal mine. So let me get off this main road because it's kind of loud. So basically, the burning garbage got trapped and got into the coal mine. So the ground was on fire, and they tried to put it out, but it was either too expensive or they didn't put it out soon enough. But basically, it wasn't an issue, Coal fires are relatively common, This is not the only coal fire in Pennsylvania. There are dozens of underground mine fires, but so nobody really took it too seriously until the early 80s, when a 12-year-old boy was in his backyard and a gaping hole opened up and he fell through. Now, luckily, I think his brother or his cousin came over and pulled him out in time, but he had to go to the hospital. It was really bad. And that's finally when the government decided to take it seriously. I mean, somebody was going to have to die or get injured before, they took it seriously. And, somebody almost did die. So basically, at that point, another issue was there was a gas station in this town. And the guy working at the gas station was checking the temperature of the gas, and it was way hotter than it should have been, like really hot. And people were noticing that their gas meters were going off. They had to have people come and check the gas meters, everything. And by 1983, instead of putting out the fire, it would have been way too expensive. Instead, the Pennsylvania government spent millions of dollars to buy people out. They would give people like $50,000, they would assess the value of their home and they would buy them out. Now, at that time, it was voluntary. You only had to leave if, you felt the need to leave. A lot of the time, there'd be toxic gases coming from the ground, carbon monoxide. It wasn't healthy, especially for, older people and younger children and stuff like that. So a lot of people left. But a lot of people didn't want to leave. A lot of people felt a connection to this town. It's where they lived their whole life. But by the 90s, they were trying to get everybody out. They were trying to force people out of the town, basically. And, by that point, the population dropped significantly. There was a documentary in the early 2000s, actually. And at that time, I think there were only like 20 people left in the town. And one of the people who stayed, who they interviewed, and, he was in the documentary, he got evicted from his house in Centralia in 2009. So the thing is, there were only a few remaining residents. The mayor died in 2010. He was like 93 years old, and he died in Shamokin, Pennsylvania, at a hospital. Anyways, in 2013, they came to an agreement that the remaining residents can live in Centralia, live the rest of their lives in Centralia, but once they die, their homes will be taken through eminent domain. So as of today, there's only about 4 or 5 residents, and I think that's one of the houses up there. So maybe we can talk to somebody, maybe not. But as you can see, there's still sidewalks, and there isn't much evidence that there was much life here, Like, these were all houses and everything. There were a lot of row houses. If you're familiar with northeast PA, most of the towns have like these wooden row houses that people live in. So yeah, this was a sidewalk right here. You can see curbs everywhere. There's very little evidence that there was life here. I don't know why anybody decided to stay. I mean, I know in the 80s it was voluntary, so that's understandable, but I'm talking about the people that still live here today. Why would you want to live here? Oh, I see a person outside. I see a dog, actually. All right, so there's two houses. There's one house right here. There's one house right here. So these are probably where the last residents live. Maybe they're outside. Maybe I could talk to them, ask them some questions, ask them why they stay. You know, one of the most concerning things is that the ground is prone to sudden collapse because the ground under us is on fire and will be on fire for the next like 200 years. So, you know, I don't know. And plus, you know, there are toxic gases. I know it's calmed down, you know, in, you know, the last decade or two, but all right, so this is one of the houses. This was likely a row house. Yeah, oh, there's two houses right there. Let's go over this way. So I don't know if this is private property, but there's actually three houses here. So there's two row houses and the trailer park. I think more than 4 people live here. Nobody's outside, so I can't really talk to anyone. But yeah, there's 4 houses, so there's got to be more than 4 people that live here, and there's more than 4 cars too. All right, so I saw a guy come out of his garage. It looks like he's working on his truck. I don't know if I really want to talk to anybody, but maybe. Yeah, it looks like an older guy. I can only imagine that the people that still live here are probably very old. Like they're probably gonna pass away in a few years. Not a few years, but within the next decade or two. So after that, so once these people die, all their homes are gonna be demolished. So these were all side streets, basically. Oh, you can even see storm drains that they had back when this place was a town. I mean, it technically is still an incorporated community, but there's no zip code anymore. In 2002, they got rid of the zip code for Centralia. You can see this wall right here. You know, Centralia tells you one thing, and that's that the coal industry, the damage that the coal industry has done to these areas. You know, when an entire area relies on an industry, it can be risky, you know, and that's what happened in this part of Pennsylvania. This is a very depressed part of Pennsylvania. You drive through towns like Shenandoah, Mahanoy City, Shamokin. They're very depressed, very poor areas. And they haven't really rebuilt since the decline of the coal industry. Hazleton is another rundown. It's a larger town. But Hazleton's had a lot of trucking jobs, and a lot of Hispanics have moved to Hazleton to get to look for work. A lot of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans from New York City and New Jersey moved to Hazleton because it's a lot cheaper, and there's a lot of warehouse jobs in Hazleton. So Hazleton is doing okay, but Shenandoah is probably the worst. So here's some steps. I'm guessing this led up to a house at some point. Now it leads up to nothing. So there are still a few businesses in Centralia. There's a fire station for any obvious coal fires, or, you know, if the fire broke out, you know. There's a church and 2 cemeteries. So there is still some life in a few houses. There's another house down there, actually. So there's more than 4 houses here. So is it even technically a ghost town? I mean, like I said, there's definitely more than 4 people living here. Maybe like 10 to 15 people, roughly. So apparently on Park Street, which is the street we're on, there's an abandoned house. And I think it's the only abandoned house in Centralia. The TikTok was taken in December of 2024. So it's possible that it's demolished, but it's still worth taking a look at. Here's a fire hydrant. I don't think it works. And there's a lot of alleyways, as you can see, to connect the side streets. The streets in Centralia are pretty wide too. I don't think the house is still here. No, it's not. Oh well. Look at that street light. That looks relatively new. Like, that looks like they put that in like a few years ago. That leads down to the coal fire. It's a lot of illegal dumping, as you can see. which is unfortunate. All right. So there's a lesser known ghost town, which is right next to Centralia, just to the south. There were only like 70 people that lived in the town, but this place was also affected by the fire. I don't know if it was an actual incorporated community or it was just like a neighborhood between Centralia and nearby Ashland, but it was called Burnsville. And there's one road that leads to Burnsville, so it was just like a road with a bunch of houses on it. Maybe we'll find something there. I don't know. Okay, I found something interesting here. It's a bunch of cars. Is this a house? Oh, there's a cat right there underneath that old car. Look at all these old cars. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. I think somebody lives here. Okay, I can't tell if somebody lives here or this place is abandoned. This house looks really creepy, like really trashy. Wow. There's like two cats. I saw a white cat and a black cat. A bunch of old cars. Huh. Is this a house? I can't tell. It looks like a garage, like a body shop or something, like an old body shop that got left behind. All these cars are at least 25 years old, so, you know, it's very possible that they just shut down and left. There's a no trespassing sign on that house, though. And there's a mailbox. So it's possible that somebody lives here, but I really don't know. It's very creepy, though. Very trashy. So this right here is the fire department. There's actually a fire truck in there. It looks like a really old fire truck. I wonder if it's even drivable. The windows are kind of fogged out, so... So that's for any obvious fires, and it looks like they actually get mail. Pretty cool. So somebody's taking care of this place. I don't know when the last time this building was used, but oh, Centralia Police Department right here. Let's see if we can see anything inside. Doesn't look like there's anything in there. Okay, so there's a sign. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to zoom in. It says, you cannot demolish any building for commercial development without notifying the DEP. And another sign that says, keep Centralia on the map. Let's see if I can see anything in here, maybe. Oh, it's just an old office. Okay. The camera wasn't really zooming. Somebody tried to break in. Why? I don't know. There's nothing in here, probably. Likely. Yeah, it's just an old building. I mean, is it open? I doubt it. Yeah, it's locked. Look at this. There's an office. There's papers in here. Everything. This is very interesting. So I'm driving to the church, and you can see that there's a wall here with a ton of graffiti. And some guardrail with a ton of graffiti. I also forgot to mention, this is where Silent Hill is based off of. Welcome to Silent Hill. This might be the new graffiti highway. So in case you guys don't know, there was a highway in this town that's now shut down. And for years, it was just covered in graffiti once it shut down. And in 2020, for whatever reason, a company dumped a bunch of dirt mounds, I guess to deter tourists or trespassers or something like that. I don't know, but it's kind of stupid. So this is the church. There's a no trespassing sign. I'm pretty sure people still come here for services. So I guess people that used to live in the town and they live nearby, they come to this church. I don't know, but it's private property. There's also 2 cemeteries. I don't know if I'm going to explore them. I mean, I probably will, but I'm also running out of time. So I want to get to Graffiti Highway. That's my top priority. Here's another house. Looks like they're hanging a bunch of laundry, and they have a ton of Halloween decorations. They're Michigan fans. They got a lot of stuff in front of their house. So there's a road right here. Oh, Jesus, these are bad potholes. Oh my God. All right, I don't think this road is drivable. It's barely drivable. So yeah, I had to get out because this road is not drivable. Actually, it probably is, but whatever. So this was Railroad Avenue. You can see that in the middle of the road, there was a railroad at some point, probably to transport coal. According to ChatGPT, there was a passenger railroad here, which is possible, but probably years, like decades ago. But I think in the 60s, the railroad is gone. There's a man right here walking his dog. I don't know if he lives here or not. Let's see if I can talk to him, ask him some questions. Shit like that. It's probably his car right there. Okay, I spoke to the guy. He just brings his dog up here. He walks his dog. He lives in Ashland, which is a nearby town, and he actually heats his house up with coal. A lot of people actually heat their homes with coal. Apparently, he goes through 7 tons a year just to heat up the house. That is insane. It's a lot of coal. So this is the cemetery. I mean, it's just a regular cemetery. I'm not going to bother walking through it. There's actually 2 cemeteries in this town. The crazy part is that the dead outnumber the living here. I think that's actually the case in Queens as well. In Queens, New York, because Queens has a lot of cemeteries, I think there's 5 million dead people in Queens. And there's only 2 million people that live in Queens, so the dead also outnumber the living in Queens. So anyways, this is the graffiti highway. So Route 61 used to go down this way. I hear some dirt bikes. A lot of people ride bikes around here. But in 1993, from the fire, the road was just torn up. Like the fire just tore up the damn road. And it was becoming so bumpy you couldn't see any, and so smoky from the fire you couldn't see anything. So it went this way, but they had to reroute it to go this way in 1993. Yeah, they're riding some ATVs and dirt bikes over there. So this is the old highway. Now, there used to be graffiti here, everywhere. But, like I said, in 2020, for whatever reason, they decided to cover it up. Probably to deter trespassers, and, they don't want tourists. I googled why they did it. Apparently it was for safety reasons, but I don't understand why. I mean, so you can see that there is some coal right here. So this is anthracite coal. All right, anthracite coal. Most of the anthracite coal in the world is found in northeastern PA, where we are. And this is a very pure, like a good quality coal. People loved it because it would burn long, and it's a very good quality coal. But the problem with it is that once you get it burning, it burns, and it really doesn't stop. You can see that the coal is all over the place. Right here, more coal. It's everywhere. And that's what fueled the fire, basically. So right here you can see some of the graffiti. So this is pretty much the only part of the road that's uncovered. But yeah, this used to be a highway cutting through town. So when I was talking to the guy, this older guy in his 70s who lives in Ashland, the guy walking his dog, I asked him, what is that whistling noise I keep hearing? It sounds like a steam train. So apparently in Ashland, where he lives, they have these coal mine tours, this coal train basically. That's pretty cool. You can actually see trees and plants are starting to grow, which is pretty crazy. I didn't think I was going to stay here that long. My plan was to only stay here for 45 minutes and head back to Jersey, but nope, still here. It's about a 2.5 hour drive from where I live, so it's not super far, not super close either. The coal region is fascinating, though. There's a lot of interesting stuff here in this part of Pennsylvania. It can be depressing in certain areas, but it's very interesting. There's a long history here. It's a very historic part of Pennsylvania in general is one of the most historic states. So this is Burnsville, another ghost town. Allegedly it was a town. I don't know if it was incorporated or not like Centralia, but allegedly this was a town of about 70 people between Centralia and Ashland. This is pretty interesting. Actually, not really. There's nothing back here, but I had to stop driving about halfway because this road is kind of undrivable. It's kind of ironic that this town is called Burnsville, given that it's been burning since 1962. But hey, absolutely disgusting. And actually, as I was heading back here, I found something cool. All right, I was backing up, trying to make a U-turn. And look what I found. Whatever this is. I don't know. Was this a house? Oh, yes. I think this was the house. What the hell? Yo, this is cool. Look at all the graffiti. Class of 2003. Wow. Okay, so just outside of town, there is apparently a vent that the smoke is coming out of, and I think it's right there. It's impossible to see. But apparently if you stick your hand in, it feels really hot. So let's check this out. I think it's coming from right here. It is definitely not coming from there. That is not hot at all. There it is. Wow. All right. It's kind of hard to get up here, but we're gonna try. Okay. Hold on to the tree. Look at that. Wow. So this is where the fire's coming from. Well, it's steam more than anything else, but look at that. Hold on, let me get up a little closer. It's very warm, but it's steam, it's not smoke. Wow. It's actually not that hot. Feels really good. Although I don't want to stay here too long because there might be carbon monoxide or other poisonous gases. So, I don't know, but this is amazing. This is just a nice place to chill. Look at this. This fire's been burning since 1962 and will be burning for another 200 years. This is beautiful. Wow. Okay, so we're not in Centralia anymore. We're actually in Ashland, and I'm gonna check out this geyser that's apparently from the fire in Centralia. Looks like there's a lot of people here, but I'm gonna see it regardless. Doesn't look like there's much water coming out of it, but here it is. Let's head down this way. So this is the Mahanoy Creek. This is a good spot right here. So it's kind of like a waterfall, and it's orange at the bottom. I don't know what that orange color is coming from. The water itself looks clean, like clear, but the bottom is orange. This water looks a little bit more muddy. So it looks like the person that lives in that house gives tours of the geyser, I guess. I don't know. All right, so that's gonna finish up my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was my tour of Centralia, the abandoned coal town, and I hope you guys enjoyed.